everybody, what's good? This is our boy Coach Malachi Williams, and you and I are tuned to New Media Today USA Boxing. Let's go! Alright everybody, look, I'm going to get straight to the point. I want to talk about my main man, Terence Bud Crawford. Now, as you know, Terence Crawford is my favorite welterweight fighter of the world. He is one of my favorite boxers in boxing right now today. So I really want to talk about the truth and the fact of the matter as it relates to him on who his next opponent will be. Now, right now, we don't know. We do know that Shawn Showtime Porter is trying to push up a little bit on Terence Crawford, saying that he wants this fight. There's only one problem with that. He has not activated his mandatory. Terence Crawford recently said on Twitter, or Team Terence Crawford recently said on Twitter, basically telling Shawn Porter, listen, shut your mouth. If you want to fight me, or you want to fight Terence Crawford, activate your mandatory. You are the mandatory for the WBO strap, so stop talking about you want to fight him and activate the mandatory. As soon as Shawn Porter activate that mandatory, guess what? More than likely it'll go to a purse bid, because Bob Arum offered Shawn Porter $1 million, which was too low in my opinion. Shawn Porter does deserve more money than that, because when he fought Errol Spence, he fought for $2 million guaranteed pay. Him and Errol Spence made $2 million apiece guaranteed, and they split a percentage of the pay-per-view, right? So I will say this here. Then Bob Arum turned right around and offered him $2 million, and Shawn Porter said that was too low. So now, if Bob Arum is not willing to pay you the type of money that you want to make or get paid, Shawn Porter, why don't you go talk to Al Haymon, ask Al Haymon to put the money up for the fight. Activate your mandatory, have Al Haymon put the money up for the fight, and then you good to go. Shawn Porter hasn't done that. But as it relates to the Alphabet Boys, I will get back to Terence Crawford in a minute, because that is one of my favorite fighters in the whole world. But I have to address the Alphabet Boys because there's a narrative that they're trying to push as it relates to Terence Bud Crawford. Now, back to what I was saying. As it relates to the Alphabet Boys, you know that the Alphabet Boys are what? Pro-PBC fighters. So they are trying to spin a narrative that, you know, Terence Crawford seems like he's afraid of Shawn Porter, and Shawn Porter will give him problems. The same guy that has 3 losses and a draw on his record. The same guy that, in my opinion, lost to Ugas, got knocked down by Ugas, and the referee said it was a slip, but it was a clean punch that dropped Shawn Porter. The same guy who every time he fights an elite fighter, he gets beat. That Shawn Porter will give Terence Crawford problems. And yes, I will admit that that is the fight to make. I think Terence Crawford should fight Shawn Porter next. Now, Terence Crawford, you should fight Shawn Porter next. The only thing is, will Shawn Porter activate his mandatory, activate the mandatory clause? If he has a mandatory, activate the mandatory. And then guess what? Terence Crawford ain't got no choice but to fight you. You see what I'm saying? I noticed when Terence Crawford moves certain ways that the Alphabet Boys don't like, that they find all kind of criticisms, and they say all kind of sly stuff about him. Whether it's Drew the Midget got something slick to say, whether it's Fred Barbershop Talks got something slick to say, whether it's Blue Ball Sports TV, especially him, got something slick to say about Terence Crawford. Boxing No Ego has something slick to say about Terence Crawford. And consistently, they have consistent videos. We can't forget about Fag None. He has something slick to say about Terence Crawford. So that it is what it is. The whole Alphabet Boys, 7 Sports TV, aka Jabba the Hutt, has something slick to say about Terence Crawford. This is what they do. They always got something slick, slide to say something about Terence Crawford. I don't know if it's because he's not a PBC fighter. No, I do know. It's because he's not a PBC fighter. But now, Terence Crawford has been chasing Manny Pacquiao for 70 years. It's not going to happen. So Terence Crawford, you being my favorite fighter, I will say this. You're not going to get the Manny Pacquiao fight. When you and Manny Pacquiao was on the same side of I don't want to say the same side of the street. That's that Errol Spence nonsense. When y'all was on the same promotional company with Bob Arum, you know, you couldn't fight him then because what's the name didn't want you to fight him. And Freddie Roach specifically said that, hey, you know what, man? That guy, Terence Crawford, may be a little bit too much for Manny Pacquiao, and they didn't want to make that fight happen. And then Bob Arum said that the reason why the fight didn't happen was because he didn't allow it to happen, because he was too much good of a friend with Manny Pacquiao, and he felt like that but Terence Crawford would destroy Manny Pacquiao, and he didn't want him to go out like that. So that's why that happened. Now, Manny Pacquiao popped back up on the scene, saying Terence Crawford's name. I guess he's trying to stay relevant. Now he's talking about Mikey Garcia and all this other stuff. So Manny Pacquiao don't want no smoke with Terence Crawford. Understandably so. because that guy will end your career quick, fast, and in a hurry. So now, as it relates to Terence Crawford, my opinion, I think that the Shawn Porter fight makes a whole lot of sense. Fight Shawn Porter next. But if Shawn Porter don't want to take the $2 million that Bob Arum offered him, that's not Terence Crawford's fault. And if Shawn Porter has not activated his mandatory, that's not Shawn Porter's fault. You see what I'm saying? So now, we do know that the fight that we want to see is Errol Spence and Terence Bud Crawford fight each other to see who's going to be the undisputed welterweight champion of the world. The only problem with that is this. Ugas has the WBA championship belt now. So now, Ugas and Errol Spence is on the same side of the street, so they should be able to fight each other. Now, the Alphabet Boys is tripping because Ugas said that he wants 50% of the fight. So if they're going to fight, he wants a 50-50 purse split. Now, Ugas is saying the same thing Terence Crawford is saying. Notice how the narrative is different though. So when Terence Crawford said he wanted a 50-50 fight with Errol Spence, they saying Terence Crawford need to be reasonable. He needs to be reasonable. Errol Spence is the cash cow. You know, he's the bigger star. This, that, yada, yada, yada. This old diva stuff. Old pocket watching ass niggas. Now, Ugas is saying the same thing, and they're on the same side of the street. They talking a little differently now. You know what I mean? Now, some of the Alphabet Boys are saying that Ugas, you know, he really need to be kind of realistic, but Ugas is not wrong for saying he want 50-50. It should be a 50-50 fight. You know what I mean? Purse-wise. You see what I'm saying? I get all that. Errol Spence has fought fighters who was able to bring crowds to the who was able to fill the seats. Mikey Garcia was able to fill the seats because he was a star in his own right. You know what I mean? And then he fought Danny Garcia. He was a star in his own right. Danny Garcia has not beat an elite welterweight yet, so he's really not that great of a fighter. He's a good fighter, but he's not a great fighter. But he was able to bring seats. You know, put fans in the seats for that fight. You know what I mean? Danny Garcia is a slow, flat-footed Puerto Rican fighter out of Philly. So he was tailor-made for what Errol Spence wanted to do to him. Now, so Errol says he's going to fight Ugas and to get that strap if he wins. You know what I mean? But Ugas is holding firm on what he wants. He wants 50%. If you want that belt, Errol, get that man what he wants to get that belt. If you don't want that belt, then stop talking about Ugas because that may not happen. Okay, now, as it relates to Terence Crawford been calling you out consistently. And Errol Spence has said that, hey, you on this side of the street, you on the other side of the street, I'm on this side, I'm going to take the easy route, get that strap from Shawn Porter, which he did. He took the strap from Shawn Porter, and then I guess now he wants to fight Ugas, get that strap. But I guarantee you, once he fight Ugas, it's going to be something totally different now. And now he's saying, I'll pay you 70-30 or 80-20. You better take it or leave it. So now, when it comes to Terence Crawford, you know, the energy changes. When it's everybody else, it's different. But when it's Terence Crawford, the whole energy changes. You see what I'm saying? If Terence Crawford is not a great fighter, he's not this, he's not that, Errol Spence will walk through him, he'll do this and that. Okay, then why he hasn't fought him yet? Right, but I get it. Alphabet Boys, Errol Spence is your guy. You don't know Errol Spence. He don't even know you guys. He don't even rock with y'all like that. You're not getting a check from him, but you kept hard for Errol Spence. You kept hard for Beyonce Wilder. You kept hard for the PBC fighters. Anything that is not PBC, you always got negative comments to say. You always make these shiesty-ass videos discrediting another fighter's resume and all that stuff there. Terence Crawford has a great resume as a boxer. Now, does Errol Spence have a better resume at welterweight? Yes, he does. Does he have a better record, boxing record on resume than Terence Crawford? No, he doesn't. Because Terence Crawford has been a champion in 3 different weight divisions, and he was been undisputed junior welterweight champion of the world. So he's been undisputed before, right? He's fought everybody in his division, and he's been champion in 3 different divisions. You see what I'm saying? Before Errol Spence went to the UK and fought Kell Brook, Terence Crawford had already did that. That's how he got his first title against Ricky Burns. So now, I say all that to say this. Terence Crawford is my guy, but I'm not going to cap for him. I say this here, Terence Crawford should fight Shawn Porter. Is Terence Crawford afraid of Shawn Porter? Hell to the no. Is Shawn Porter afraid of Terence Crawford? Hell to the no. Showtime Shawn Porter's a good fighter. He has good footwork. He comes in like a running back with his head down and just go to throwing wide punches with his head down. He does that. He does angles and stuff. I give him that, but he's a good fighter. The only elite fighter, he hasn't beaten an elite fighter in the welterweight division himself. He beat Danny Garcia, but there's nothing elite by Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia has not beat a top fighter in the welterweight division since he's been in the welterweight division. He lost to Keith Thurman, he lost to Errol Spence, and he lost to Shawn Porter. You see what I'm saying? So that's proof he hasn't beat anybody elite in the welterweight division. Now, Errol Spence was right about Danny Garcia. You lost all of your step-up fights, right? He was right about that with Shawn Porter. Shawn Porter lost all of his step-up fights. In my opinion, when he fought Danny Garcia really wasn't a step-up fight. Because Danny Garcia is not on that elite level. He's a good fighter, but he's not a great fighter. Terence Crawford is a great fighter. This is why I want to see him and Shawn Porter fight each other. Because I want to shut them fat mouths up. Fat mouth. You know what I mean? That's what we say down here in Florida. Fat mouth. When your mouth is fat, big, you run it, talking all the time, mouth on steroids. You see what I'm saying? That's what we say down here in Florida anyways. But anyways, back to what I was saying though. Terence Crawford, please fight Shawn Porter. Shawn Porter, if you want to fight Terence Crawford, stop running your mouth. Activate the mandatory clause, baby. If you say that's what you want the smoke, go get the smoke. Don't talk about it, be about it. Don't meet me there, beat me there. You see what I'm saying? So activate the mandatory clause and you'll get all the smoke you want. You say that your style is tailor-made. You say that you think you can give Terence Crawford problems. You say you think you'll do A, B, C, and D to Terence Crawford. Okay, cool. Prove it. Activate the mandatory clause. This is what a lot of fans don't know. They think Terence Crawford is ducking Shawn Porter. He's not ducking Shawn Porter. Shawn Porter has been doing a whole lot of running his mouth, but he has not activated the mandatory clause. If you are the mandatory for the WBO strap, then you should be the one that activated it. That's how it's going to go down. You see what I'm saying? But the Alphabet Boys is saying that Terence Crawford should be the one to make that fight happen. He should be the one to chase Shawn Porter down and say, hey, go ahead, let's do this. No, not really. You know what I mean? Just like Errol Spence shouldn't have to chase anybody down. When you are in the position that Terence Crawford is in or Errol Spence is in, you know what I mean? Then it is what it is. So how they negotiate their business is how they negotiate their business. One thing I do know, you do have to fight that mandatory. So if that mandatory is there, but that mandatory has to be willing to what? Activate his mandatory clause. If he has a mandatory clause, activate it. Stop talking about it. And if you can't get the money that you want from Bob Arum, why don't you go to Al Haymon to get the money? Al Haymon's supposed to be the man, right? Al Haymon's supposed to be this big boss that make all these power moves happen, right? Well, tell Al Haymon to get off his rich ass and make this power move happen with you and Terence Crawford, Shawn Porter. Since Al Haymon got all the money, he should be able to put the money up to pay for this fight. What's his name? Bob Arum already said that if the fight goes to purse bid, he would let Al Haymon take the fight. So why Al Haymon is not anxious to make this fight happen himself? Why Al Haymon is not anxious to pay Shawn Porter $3, $4, $5, $6 million that he may want, even though he didn't make that kind of money fighting Errol Spence, and then when he had the belt. So he want to get paid more for fighting Terence Crawford than he did for when he fought Errol Spence. Come on, man. How that sound? He wants to get paid more. And if that's the case, cool. I can't tell another man what he should take or not take. I'm not like the Alphabet Boys. The Alphabet Boys, they want to be negotiators. They want to be managers. They want to be YouTube detectives. They want to be all these different things in the sport of boxing while shooting videos in their living room or in their mama's basement. Like Drew the Midget, Fagnon, Boxing No Ego, Jabba the Hutt, a.k.a. 7A Sports, Dante's Race Baiting Nation, Aki TV, Aki No TV. Who else we got? We got Trill, fake Trill, whatever it is, you know what I mean? It's a whole bunch, it's a little conglomerate of them. They talk tough gates on the internet, but it ain't nothing. But back to Terence Crawford. Back to what I was saying. TC, do me a favor. Give Shawn Porter the smoke. He said he wanted, give it to him. But in order for him to get it, he's going to have to activate his mandatory clause. Then after that, we'll see what's left for Terence Crawford. I don't know who he's going to fight next. I'm hoping it's Shawn Porter. That'll be a great fight. That'll be something that I think Shawn Porter could bring something out of Crawford that no one has been able to bring out in the welterweight division. I really believe that. I also think that if Terence Crawford was to stop Shawn Porter or beat him worse, way worse than Errol Spence beat him, because Errol Spence didn't really beat Shawn Porter. It went 12 rounds. Errol Spence won in a split decision, but he didn't punish him. He didn't beat him like, you know what I mean? He didn't beat him like he beat those other scrubs, like he beat the El Campos and all that stuff there. Ever since Errol Spence stepped up and he fought the Mikey Garcia was a lightweight. He came up 2 weight divisions to fight you, and you couldn't even knock him out. You couldn't stop him at all. He went 12 rounds. Now, did he get punished? Of course he did. Danny Garcia, same thing. Now, I think that personally, Shawn Porter's style would bring the best out of Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford would not fight Shawn Porter the way Errol Spence did. Now, Shawn Porter tries to forces his will on other fighters. He tried it with Kell Brook. Kell Brook beat the shit out of him. You see what I'm saying? Kell Brook whooped him. Kell Brook came up with a perfect solution for that. When he tried to come with that rough house and all that stuff there, Shawn Porter, Kell Brook tied him up, whatever the case may be. The referee came, broke it up, reset, and he went to work on him. He beat him easy. You see what I'm saying? And I think that Terence Crawford would beat Shawn Porter pretty fairly well. Would it be a good fight? Absolutely. Would Shawn Porter have his moments? Absolutely. But when the smoke is all clear and it's said and done, in my opinion, because it's not fact yet because they haven't fought each other, in my opinion, my man Terence Crawford is going to come out that fight smelling like roses. You see what I'm saying? When Shawn Porter get in there, he's going to see it ain't what he thought it was. He's saying that he sees something. All you fighters always talking about you see something on the outside. Then when you get on the inside, it don't turn out to be what you thought you saw. It don't turn out to be what you think you saw or what you thought you saw. You see what I'm saying? You said the same thing with Errol Spence. You say you see something, and you did a lot of things against Errol Spence. I will not lie. You hit him a lot. You hit Errol Spence a lot. That showed me Errol Spence wasn't a great fighter that they thought he was. You see what I'm saying? Errol Spence is a good fighter. He's doing his thing. Have nothing bad to say about him at all. I like him. He's one of my favorite fighters in the welterweight division. You know what I mean? But I like Terence Crawford all day over anybody in the welterweight division. Whether it's Keith One-Time Thurman, and Keith One-Time Thurman is at home chilling right now, so we ain't got to worry about him. He is so Mr. Irrelevant. Danny Garcia, Danny Garcia, you got beat to death by Errol Spence, so we know you can't handle Terence Crawford. So we ain't worried about Danny Garcia. So Shawn Porter is the only fight that's really realistic for me in order for them to make. I think that my prediction, and I can give you my prediction now, I think that Terence Crawford will beat Shawn Porter in a unanimous decision. Will he stop him? I would be surprised if he stopped him. Will he drop him, knock him down? Yes, I think he'll knock Shawn Porter down. Shawn Porter comes in reckless. He comes in like a running back. Helmet on, and he comes in wide and swinging and yada, 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 yada. He fights the same way. The only time he didn't fight like that lately was when he fought what's my main man? Ugas. Ugas was taking a crime to Shawn Porter, and he got a gift decision, in my opinion. A lot of people say Ugas beat Shawn Porter. Ugas got robbed against Shawn Porter. You see what I'm saying? So what goes around comes around. But what I will say is this. Shawn Porter is a nice guy. I really like him. I like to see him commentate. I love that. His boxing style, I hate his boxing style. He fights too reckless to me. You see what I'm saying? His defense, he don't have a defense, in my opinion. He fights the same way. When he fought his last fight, his mandatory, I think it was a white guy, Shawn Porter couldn't even knock that dude out. Shawn Porter has no power. You know, I forgot the guy. The guy was so Mr. Irrelevant that I don't even know his name. But the guy has no power at all. He couldn't even beat the little white guy who he fought, you know, in his last fight. He roughed him up pretty good, but the guy went 12 rounds. Errol Spence probably would have stopped that guy, and Terence Crawford definitely would have stopped that guy. So now, I'm anxious to see. I think Terence Crawford is motivated as hell. He has, I don't know how many fights he has on his contract with Top Rank, but I think his contract expires in October. I'm anxious to see what will be his moves once that contract is up with Top Rank. I think that Terence Crawford should do what Manny Pacquiao is doing. Manny Pacquiao has pretty much, he's not with the PBC, he's a free agent, but he worked with the PBC on a 2-fight deal from my understanding. So now, Manny Pacquiao was chilling in the Philippines, right? So I think once Terence Crawford contract is up with Top Rank, he should move on. Me personally, I would love to see Terence Crawford hook up with MTK Global. MTK Global is making all of the big fights. There's nobody in the game making bigger fights than MTK Global out of the UK. No one is doing that. You see what I'm saying? And if he was to hook up with that crew, I think we'll see some very interesting things with Terence Crawford. I really believe that. You know what I mean? He can go to the PBC, but for what? PBC got 146 fighters on their roster. Right now, PBC, their priority is Errol Spence. So, you know, there's a lot of fighters over there with PBC who are on the same side of the street, can't even get fights with each other, i.e. David Benavidez and Jamal Charlo. They can't get a fight with each other. You see what I'm saying? They're on the same side of the street. Ugas wants to get paid, wants a 50-50 fight with Errol Spence. So unless Errol Spence is willing to pay him 50%, split the money right down the middle, that fight don't look like it's going to be made. But I'm hopeful that it will be made. Or I would like to see Terence Crawford fight Ugas. That'll be a damn good fight, because Ugas is a damn good fighter. And in my opinion, Ugas will give Terence Crawford more problems than a Shawn Porter. Because Shawn Porter's going to come one way. He's going to do his little angles, whatever the case may be. He's going to come bull rush. That ain't going to work with Terence Crawford. I promise you. Post-style tried that, and you see what happened to him. Jeff Horn tried that. You see what happened to him. You see what I'm saying? Now I know what you guys gonna say. Well, shit, Shawn Porter ain't no post star on no Jeff Horn. He's not, but he fights the same way. What I'm trying to say, bull rush, head down, just come in riling and try to rough you up. You see what I'm saying? It ain't gonna work. That little skinny boy from that little skinny kid from Omaha, Nebraska, that boy's something special, man. He is something special, and I'm gonna represent for him hard. While you got the Alphabet Boys represent for Errol hard, guess what I'm gonna do? And represent for PBC hard, I'm gonna represent for Terence Crawford hard, because that's my main man. I love Terence Crawford. I'm not a fanboy of Terence Crawford, but I love Terence Crawford. And I do want to see him fight better competition. I do want to see him fight Shawn Porter. No one wants to see me fight, wants to see Terence Crawford fight Shawn Porter more than me, because I want him to shut his damn mouth. Send that PBC shit back home. That's what I want. That's how I feel. Other than that, guys, please tell me, what do you think? Do you think that I'm right in my assertion that Terence Crawford will handle Shawn Porter? Do you think that I'm right by saying that if Shawn Porter really wants to fight Terence Crawford, he should activate his Mendo clause, his mandatory clause, or Mendo? You see what I'm saying? He should activate his mandatory clause or his Mendo clause if he really want that fight. Don't talk about it, be about it. Don't meet me there, beat me there. You see what I'm saying? Do you think I'm right about that? Or do you think, nah, man, you know, if Terence Crawford fights Shawn Porter will run over him. He will beat the brakes off Terence Crawford and he'll lose. If you think that, please let me know in the description what you think, who you like, who you with, who you got. Other than that, this is our boy Coach Malachi Williams, representing for New Media Today USA. Boxing and peace.
Man, I'm out of here, bro. Let's go.